back. And what's up, everyone? This is Respect the Craft, episode number 4. I am Raymond Sanchez, and we are joined by the lovely Shannon Hunter. How are you doing, Shannon? How's
I'm
everything going?
great. If you guys will have to excuse me for coughing, I do not have COVID, but I do have a little touch of the crud. We did the combine for CZW last weekend, and so I always say wrestling students are like toddlers. They love to touch things and put things in their mouth and put their fingers in their mouth and stuff like that. So like you always end up with the crud from weekends like that. So
Yeah.
but what's great about New York right now is that testing is really much easier to obtain. Than it had been. And of course, I am vaccinated and boosted, and which everybody should be doing, especially if you're in wrestling. It's really important. Take care of each other, folks. Um, but yeah. So if you hear me coughing or if you see me drinking water, that's why.
No, it's
Um,
all good. It's also the biggest thing is we are in like flu weather, sadly. Like this
yeah,
cold
it
doesn't
is
help.
brick.
So, yeah.
Um, it it's like I'm from upstate New York. I'm originally from Buffalo, and
Yeah.
but I've lived in New York for about New York City for about 25 years, and it is. When I say it's cold, it's really cold. It is incredibly cold. So for those of you that are traveling to our fine city from other places to go to Hammerstein this weekend, are finding out that it's incredibly cold. Also wanted to tell you, if you are looking for a chopped cheese, I saw this on Twitter today. You will not find one near the Hammerstein. You have to come up above 125th Street. And
Yep.
also, if you are vegan, they do serve vegan chopped cheese, so you can
Yep.
look for those, and they are actually delicious. So make sure you look for those.
Yeah, I saw that. That was the whole trend today. I'm like, gotta love the tourists coming in that know nothing
No,
about where
nothing
to find a
about it.
bodega. I'm like, if anything, if you watch In the Heights, he gives you a roadmap. Just
Gives you
listen to the
kind of a
song.
roadmap. Nobody's singing though.
No one's gonna sing unless you run into Showtime, and then you're gonna join the rest of us in hating how the trains are.
But you won't get kicked in the head, I promise. If you run into Showtime and if you run into it, you'll know exactly what we're talking about. You will not get kicked in the head. They are professionals, I promise you. So give them $1 and
Yeah.
everything will be cool.
Now, if you're coming to the shows, though, we can't promise you're not getting kicked there.
Yeah,
But
exactly.
the viewer discretion
I've
advised,
gotten
guys.
kicked, you know. Although with the
So,
New York State Athletic Commission, you kind of have to stay in the guardrail. So,
yeah, I'll say this because I was part of a show this past weekend, and I love New York shows, but I was reminded why I sometimes hate them because the fans also do not want to listen to that guardrail rule, and the commission doesn't let up on us at all.
right.
Like, again, we're doing this for the fans, we're making sure fans are all safe and sound.
Yep.
But if you don't listen to that rule
The show
and
can
you're
get shut
put,
down.
yeah, it's like, ah, but again, it's all for the love of wrestling. So we try our best, guys. We try our best. But let's get into this because thank you again, Shannon, for coming on. I wanted to bring up before we get into the questions and all the stuff I have here. I want to say we're going on 3, 4 years now that we first met too
Yep.
at Capital Now Catalyst, and I feel like since then it was clicked. Like I was able
Yeah,
to
I mean,
learn
it could
so much
even be
that first
longer
day.
at this point, right? Like
Oh wait, yeah, we're going through the see. You know what it is? Pandemic years have just merged into like
pandemic
one.
years, like,
So I want
so
give or take
I
now it's
want to
like
say
four or
it's been
five.
five
Yeah.
or six.
Oh geez, yeah, yeah. Again, those pandemic
Because
years, you feel like
I met Adam in 2018, and I met you way before
mhm,
that.
yeah, yeah. Because Adam started coming with me when he was doing, I want to say security. Yeah, so
Hmm.
that's what it was. So he came with me, and then yeah, so that was definitely yeah. So give or take 5 or 6 years now. Jeez,
Yep.
time flies, especially in
Yeah.
wrestling. It's like we just feel like we all met yesterday. That's the craziest thing.
And I this in October of this year, in October of 2022, will be year 24 for me in wrestling.
Whew. Congratulations. That's when I hear these numbers, like I'm listening to now, like Steve Mack this month is celebrating 25 years. And I'm
Mm-hmm.
hearing Homicide with his 25. Even Aishi Loke this weekend, he celebrated 27. I'm like, to think how again the business is still rolling and you guys have made such an impact and are still making one to this day. It's like it's amazing to see.
I
Like,
mean, I think, well, the thing that differentiates our group of people from, I think, and this is not to say the newer group of people are not
yeah,
wonderful, but I think for us, we all have hung together as a friend group as well. We formed those really close friendships very early on. And so, the business has given us so much. And now we are in the stage where not only are we still enjoying it, for most of us, but we are also trying to give back. And, we're trying to contribute to the younger people that are coming up, and the mid people, we're trying to further their careers as well. So I think for us, I think especially for me, for the combine was so exciting
yeah.
because just seeing all these new people that I hadn't met before, and they were so excited to be there. And some people had traveled from Florida and from Georgia. We had a whole group from Georgia that had flown in, and they were so fresh and new and excited to be there. And were interested to see what they could learn from us. And it was just, you know Gabby Gilbert and Isaiah Wolf and DJ and I were looking at each other going, this is why we do this. This is the whole point. And I think for those of us that really have a fire to give back, um, those are the weekends that really revitalize us. And
Yeah.
I felt, and I know that Isaiah felt, and I know that DJ felt, and I know that Gabby felt super revitalized after last weekend. Like, you can't be depressed around a group like that. And they were so talented.
Yeah.
Like, there was so much talent in that room. It was breathtaking. And so what happened at the combine was, it was 2 days. There was 2 days, 2 afternoon sessions of workouts,
Gotcha.
and those sessions were taped, and people were interviewed and talked to, and there'll be like a little documentary type thing made out of that.
Ooh,
And
okay.
then the show itself was taped. So not everybody that was chosen to come work out with us got to perform on the show, obviously, because it would have been too many people. There was like 60 people, in the combine, and there was over 200 people who emailed us
Oh wow.
inquiring
Okay.
um, about coming to the combine.
Yeah.
So it got whittled down and then whittled down some more. So of course, and then COVID and the weather did prevent some people from coming, so that did affect it as well. But the people that performed on the show, that show was taped as well, and it will be up in a week or two on our YouTube, so that everybody can
Ooh. Okay.
see how cool everybody was and what they
Yeah.
did. And so that's going to be really exciting. So I can't wait for everybody to see, what we saw, and, let us know how you like everybody, and how, if who you want to see back, because we know who we liked. But again, it's about who the audience wants to see as well.
Got you. Got you. And no, that is a great. Like I saw a lot of the photos and saw some of the videos from the combine, and it's inspiring to see how hungry they looked. Because that's always what you want to see. Is you want to see the younger students that are coming in, or even again, some of them they're just looking for that one shot to still have that hunger to be like, hey, there's a reason I traveled this far. Like I saw one of the students from AR Fox's school. I forgot his name. I have him on Instagram too. I want to say it's Takuri, an Ecuadorian wrestler actually, and he's
Yes.
training out in Georgia. I saw
Hmm.
he was there. I'm like, yes. I was hoping because I know he's always watching the Tri-State stuff. I'm like, please, if he makes it out, I know he'll get on. So
And
I hit him up afterward, and he loved the process. Like it was great to see.
he was really unique, a lot of fun to work with, had a great attitude, and he really showed out on the show process. So, I think everybody's going to really enjoy watching him, I think.
Awesome, awesome. And again, that is great. Again, guys, stay looking out for that show because that's going to be great. Links are definitely in the description down below as well, so you're not going to want to miss all that. Follow CZW to definitely stay up to
And
date with
that's
all
going to be
that.
on the CZW YouTube. So stay tuned to my, not only the CZW, all of the CZW social media, but my social media as well. Ray will
Gotcha.
link you to it. And
Yep, everything's going to be down below. But also, if you guys just want a little peek of it, there you go. Follow Shannon on IG. There's the Twitter. Get all that details because you're not going to want to miss all that. Also, Shannon shares a lot of what's hot right now in indie wrestling. So you're definitely going to want to
definitely.
check her out. And we're going to be talking a lot about that, including more on CZW in a little bit as well.
Can I just
So,
shout out Action Wrestling right
yep.
now? They are right now. There is a huge show going on IWTV. So as soon as you're done watching this interview, check it out. There is a lot of great Southern wrestlers going to be competing tonight. Damian Tangra, Violence is Forever. A lot of really great people going to be competing tonight. My friend Matt is putting on the show. We're so proud of all of the people that are going to be competing tonight. It's a huge show. They've worked so hard on it. So shout out to Matt and all the people at Action who've worked so hard to put this show, the Southern Graft show on. And they've got a full house and just want everybody to watch it. If you can't catch it tonight, it will be on demand on IWTV. My boy Merck, uh, Graham Bell is going to be on it as well. So make sure you catch that. If you can't catch it
Ooh.
tonight, again, it's going to be on demand as soon as possible on IWTV. So shout out to everybody at Action Wrestling. We love you guys madly.
Awesome, awesome. Definitely, guys. Again, after the show as well, I'll definitely be retweeting everything I can to give you guys all the information on that show because you got to support independent wrestling. This is what this podcast is about. Respect the Craft is honoring all forms of the craft that is professional wrestling. So as I'm plugging that away as well, let me just give a little bit of a shout out because we do have some people in the chat. So hey, what's up, Conrad from Everything Pro Wrestling? We just did a video yesterday, so definitely go check that out. And he has a question for you, Shannon. I hope you don't mind answering here.
Not at all.
So here we go. So, as a veteran in professional wrestling, what is one piece of advice you wish you had at the start, knowing what you know now? Ooh, okay.
Wow, that's such a great question. What is one piece of advice? I had really great mentors in wrestling. Um, the one piece of advice I wish I had was to be more patient because I think, especially back in the day, I think I thought that things were going to happen for me more quickly than they actually did. And I think that two things. The two things that I wish that I had known were to be more patient, number one, and if I wanted to do something, to go ahead and ask to do it. Because I think number one, I I was impatient and I didn't know that my time was coming. Number one. Number two, but I also missed out on opportunities that would have been open to me if only I had asked. Um, I think I would have started because I do a variety of jobs. I ring announce, I manage. I know how to bump, but I hate it. um, it's
I
not
think
my
we all do. Like, I
it's
feel
not
like
my
no
favorite
one.
thing in the world. I'm not really an athlete, so it's not really a thing that I do a lot of. Um, uh, I do commentary. I run locker rooms. I've owned my own wrestling company. So I do a variety of different jobs. But one of the things that I always wanted to do when I first started, I was a photographer and a sheet writer when I first started. And I had wanted to delve into the performing aspect earlier than I did. And I think that if I had asked, I think that I would have been able to do so earlier. Um, Especially in retrospect, talking to people who knew me back then, people have said, well, if you had expressed interest, you probably would have been able to. So I think my advice for people would be to be patient, but also if you do have the inclination slash the skill to do something, because I came from an acting and a performing arts background. I went to a performing arts high school and then a college where I was on camera a lot. I had my own television show and I did local TV news and things like that, and then I was in graduate school when I first started in wrestling, and I was in nonfiction writing and journalism. So I had the necessary skills. So if you have the inclination slash the skill, I would say, go ahead and ask if there's a job that you do want to do, because all they can say is no or not right now. But my biggest regret is that I didn't ask, because people have told me that they probably would have broke me into that aspect of things way earlier than I did get to do it, because I was almost 30 when I started even ring announcing, and then from there I transitioned into managing.
Gotcha. And definitely it's being as long as again it's been a few years around. I feel like that definitely resonates. Like you, especially being still young in the business, you're at that point that you start to think, is it going to happen yet? Am I going to get
Mm-hmm.
to do anything?
Yep.
But then you're also scared to ask because it becomes, oh, you think you're hot shit in a sense.
You don't want to be
Yeah.
disrespectful. And I think back in the day too, there was still, because I broke into the business in 1999, Conrad. And if you can imagine, I don't know, how long you've been in the business yourself, Conrad, but um, there was still that sort of mystique, like you didn't really know how things worked as much. And, there was still sort of like, um, heavy duty gatekeeping. People don't like that word, but I like the word. I think it's appropriate. People were very careful about how people were brought into the business, and, you know, um, training was very intense still. And um, the people who were trained were vetted very carefully, more carefully, I think, than they are now. Um, and I think that, so I really didn't understand the ins and outs of, how do you begin to transition out of one job and into another. I think it's easier now, but it wasn't back then. I think, it almost, I didn't want to be seen as disrespectful. I thought, and maybe this was naive or stupid, but I thought you had to stay doing one thing your whole career. I
Yeah.
didn't know if it was possible to transition, or if it was possible to transition from the type of role that I had, which was more support staff, to a performing role.
Yeah.
I thought you had to start out that way.
Yeah. And I feel like that's still like again too, especially I know a lot of the younger talent as well are going to be watching this, and I feel like that's still a thought a lot of them go through that they still feel like, oh, I have to stay where I'm at the moment, like in the lane that I'm in, or what it is that I'm originally brought in to do, in a sense. So I feel like that's still something that a lot of them are trying to find what it is they really either want to transition into or want to do in this business.
Right. And, I liked photography, but it wasn't
Yeah.
where I wanted to stay. And I thought if I was going to have longevity, I was going to need to find a role that better suited me. And Jason Knight, who from ECW, who was, like a father figure to me and a huge mentor, he accurately thought you are the type of person who should be running stuff. So he was the person who taught me how to run locker rooms and to book and to do all of those things. And Rock and Rebel um, was the person who taught me how to manage and to work and to do all of those things. So that was how that sort of shook out. I lost your audio, Ray.
Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Okay, perfect. Sorry. I always try to mute it just to make sure all your audio is coming in clear. Like I make sure the guest is first, and then I'll worry about mine after. Um, those two names you just mentioned, it's they have pristine there. Those are not two by any so those are big names when it comes to this craft that we talk about here in professional wrestling. And I can only imagine being under their tutelage. Again, it shows why you are the way you are. It shows why your mindset is the way it is, and it's great to see. And it's great to see where it's continuing to go. And again, it's great. Again, if you're a young talent and are lucky enough to be around Shannon when she's giving those gems, please take notes, keep them written down because they come in handy. I've been lucky a lot of times, even when we're at the door and just talking, it's like, again, everything's getting stocked up here. Like, it's great. So I have to ask because I always write it down as usually the first, but we've gone so much into this combo, I forgot to ask it. When you hear the phrase, because again, it's called the respect the craft. When you hear the phrase the craft, what does that mean for you?
That's such an interesting question. I mean, I think it means something different for me than it does for somebody who's in the ring constantly. Um, for me, so I am somebody who, especially now at this point in my career, is curating the experience both for the fan and for the worker, right? So for me, that's the craft. Um, it's the curation of the experience both for the fan and for the wrestler. And it's about there was a great rock promoter. His name is Bill Graham, and he is an idol of mine. And I grew up, reading books and a lot of material about biographical material about Bill Graham. And it's about the curation of the environment and the curation of how do people want to be treated, both as fan and as a person who works for me. And that's what the craft is for me. How does the wrestler want to be treated? And it's not just about you getting paid. It's about, you know, what does a locker room feel like? How quickly do I get back to you? Are you being fed? What type of food? Is there water? Is it cold? Is there heat? Is there air conditioning? What's the ring like? Is it in good repair? All of those things are a curation of the environment that makes the wrestler want to come back and work for me. And I owned my own company, and in 2013, my partners and I had to shelve it because of various issues, but people still want to come back and work for me. I still get Christmas cards from people who work for me. And I think that just shows you that I was able to curate a great experience for people that worked for me. And but I also have fans conversely saying, "Gee, I really missed that." So also it's about the curation of a great environment for the fan. Gee, I really miss sitting in those seats. And so that's what's also exciting about CZW, especially in the studio environment, because we're able to create this environment where people are having this experience that only maybe 200 other, 199 other people can have. And there's something really special about that because, you know, wrestling can get really big and really expansive, and that's cool. But there's something to be said about these smaller environments, these boutique environments where you're curating an experience that only you and 199 other people can have. So that's the craft for me, is these experiences that you are creating for the wrestler and for the fan.
That's that right there again. This is why I love the question, because hearing your definition of it, it proves again why this is so important to so many. Again, even though like you said, it's different, but in the same, how having like Ron Starr on my last episode, it's so similar though. It's still
Right.
that importance of making sure at the end of the day everyone involved is happy and
Hmm.
continuing the love for all of this. So hearing that, it's great. And it's something like I said, that's why I love especially independent wrestling. Like it is that family feel. It is that enjoyment of getting to be around. A lot of times it's a similar group of people that you're getting that bond and enjoying something that you guys are getting to be a part of. That's like, hey, I was there for this. So was I. And it's that familiarity that's like, this is special. So that's great to hear.
People were at early Jersey All Pro shows or early CZW shows. They still talk to each other. Like you see
Yeah.
them talking online and having those memories. And, you know, somebody, some young kid will post a clip, and underneath it, somebody that was there inevitably will come and be like, I have this memory. And then another person that was there will come behind them and be like, I have this memory. And then I can come behind and be like, I was backstage and this thing happened. Inevitably. So that's the kind of sense of community.
Yeah.
And I think that that's when wrestling is greatest, is when 22 years later we're still having those conversations.
Yeah. And that's what I really love about it. Like, and it's funny because I'm gonna still sound young, but still I love seeing like the newer kids coming in. Because again, I started around when I was in my teens. I'm now 23 going on 24. And when I hear them talk about what I was getting to be a part of as, oh man, I just found this clip. I was like, I was there. And hearing
Mm-hmm.
those stories, like I grew up watching like and that ROH from that era. Grew up watching Jersey All Pro and getting to be around those guys that were there and hearing them talk about it, like, oh, this is what was happening behind the scenes. I'm like, ah, and now I get to do that for the younger kids because I just
Somebody
saw from
posted a
Georgia the other day. He was 17 wrestling now, and he's talking about how he grew up watching us. I'm like, oh no, now I'm starting to see it. Like these young kids coming in, it's like, ah, so this is what actually happened.
somebody posted a clip of Crazy Eight from PWU, and the Crazy Eight match from PWU. I don't know if you've ever seen it with the swinging
Yep.
vines, and so like they were posting clips from that match. So I was like telling stories about the story behind that match, and then I was tagging people in the match, going, tell them about this, tell them about that. And so it was a really interesting experience, like, because and what's interesting too is like people are like, oh, I wish we could do that now, and I'm like, you could never. Like that's just not possible. Like it's just not a thing. Like don't even try it. Nobody attempt this. We
The
shouldn't have
funny,
done it then.
yeah, when I saw that clip, I messaged one of the guys in it. I'm like, hey, so should we try to pull it off in 2022? He's like, we shouldn't have pulled it off then.
Then was it Johnny? Johnny
I
was
was
like,
like,
we should never have done it then.
I was like,
John, I remember Johnny was looking. I remember Johnny like coming into the building, going, "Why are we doing this? Explain to me why we're doing this."
it's and again those moments. This is why I love this business here because it's just those memories that again it's once in a lifetime. Sometimes that's why we're saying like those moments, enjoy them while you have it because again, it's gonna be a story like this one day. Like, yeah, I was there for that. It's never gonna happen again, but it was fun.
Yeah.
Like, and that's why again we have these events and we have all this happening. So let's start talking a little bit about that because there's a lot happening in the next few weeks. Like
So
there's a lot,
much.
like even tomorrow. Let's talk about that. Let's jump into. I have the graphic up already for Pro Wrestling Magic's happening
Yes.
tomorrow. So for everyone that's wondering why is everything just combined there, so here we go. We have the Chad Adams Memorial Rumble. Can't wait to see that. We have a first time ever match. I'm surprised this one's a first time ever. Seeing Gabe Sky and Dante Leone just scrap for the first time, I'm surprised. Seeing Billy Dixon and Erica Lee for the Pro Wrestling Magic
That is not first time
Championship.
ever. Let me tell you a story about this match. So
This the Billy Dixon?
Billy and Erica.
Ooh.
So Billy
Okay.
and Erica worked each other one time, and Billy broke Erica's nose. So Erica's looking for revenge on that.
Oof. There you go.
Yeah. I believe the last time Erica wrestled Billy was when that happened. So you can definitely look for Erica to be looking for revenge on that one. I know that match is going to be so cool.
I was looking forward to that just because again, it's always when it's a championship match, it's high stakes, but then you add two great performers like that. And also I talked about it this week because I did do an indie perspective on it. You also have to add the element of Darius is watching around as well.
Mm-hmm.
Darius Carter, a man he's an indie standout that I'm it's gonna be sad the day he's signed. Because to lose him on the indies is just gonna be because again, that's an athlete right there that just kills it no matter who he's put against or whatever stipulation, whatever situation it is. Darius kills it. But then you also have this.
Here's another element also.
Yeah.
Erica and Billy sometimes train together, so they know each other really well. And I think when those matches happen, they're really unique and special because a lot of times you get this really cool synergy and chemistry that you don't get in matches where the people don't know each other as well.
Yeah, it adds another. It's something that's like, hey, we might know each other that like very well, but we don't know everything about each other. Like I always like those matches there. That's like, hey, I know certain tricks about you, but let's see what I pull out this one. So that should be fun to see. But also this one I'm looking forward to because this
is so unique. And Vinny has grown so much in the past couple of years, and I think that he's really ready for Davey, and I think everybody's going to be so excited to see this match, and I think he's going to show people so much.
I can't wait for this because again, Vinny, I want to say, yeah, me and him are around the same age. So again, we both grew up in this business. I've seen Vinny grow and become his own standout. And seeing him in a test like Davey Richards, I know he's going to kill it, but I also know Davey's going to kick the shit out of him on tomorrow night. Like that chest is just going to, I'm waiting for the photography afterward because those pictures are just going to be, this is another one I'm looking forward to because this is a lot of elements here because you have Everett Cross defending the Dark Arts Championship against the unpredictable Jay George. I talked about it on the indie perspective. I don't know if the building's going to be able to handle this one.
I love Jay George as a performer, and he's so unique, and I love what he's been doing with his character lately. And, Everett Cross is one of the most consistent performers, I think, at Magic. And he's helped really build the company over the years. So I think this is going to be one of the matches that the audience is really going to enjoy the most.
Definitely. And just those promos alone that Jay George is putting out have been insane. Like, if you want to talk about someone creating just cinematic magic, Jay George is definitely that guy that's invested in, hey, this is my presentation, enjoy. Like, he's definitely creating something for the fans to be like, I have to go watch that now because he's selling it that well. Like, again, guys, you're going to want to go check that out. Tickets are still available at prowrestlingmagic.ticketleap.com. It's going to be at the Knights of Columbus, 106 Bergen Avenue, follow Magic on IG. Here you go, at Pro Wrestling Magic, and then at Wrestling Magic on Twitter. Definitely keep up to date with that. It's also going to be available on IWTV, so definitely check them out. IWTV is just getting all the great hits. Like they're getting everything right now, and it's a great service. I feel like it's something that I wish was around when the Jersey All Pros and all that was going on, because how different that would have been to get to see those clips like instantly.
And I think it would have been unique because I think so many people across the country would have seen like what we were doing and what we were into, and you know because there was a lot of tape trading back then, but like I think Jersey All Pro would have been a bigger company. I
Yeah.
think it would have been a bigger, more successful company right from the jump then. And also, I really would have liked it to be around for the Doghouse, honestly.
Yeah. That would have been, again, that's if you're lucky to see some of the clips from that. Like I know now a lot of people are starting to upload a lot of the matches from the Doghouse years and seeing clips from all that. It's great to see how it does have its pristine, it has its lineage.
Mm-hmm.
But to think if something like IWTV were around at that time, how it would have been just seen everywhere.
And
To
I
think
mean,
how
if
crazy
we
that would have
could
been.
have, I mean, and the thing about it is that we were running every Saturday
Yeah.
at the Doghouse without fail. Like it didn't matter if something else was going on. Every Saturday. Didn't matter if Homicide had another booking. Didn't matter if the Hit Squad had another booking. Didn't matter whatever else was going on. Somebody was wrestling at the Doghouse.
Yeah.
Bobby put something in there. There was something going on in that ring. So like the people that came out of there, like just mind blowing.
It really is. It really is. And to think again, it's defined what especially at least tri-state area indie wrestling is. If
Mm-hmm.
you can't if you look at anything indie wise, again, even talking about Magic tomorrow, you see how that influence is there. When you talk about promotions like House of Glory is another one. It's the influence is there. Anything you talk about indie wrestling, places like GCW, like CZW, everything, you see something. You can't find it and be
There
like,
are
this doesn't
people
trace
from
back.
the Doghouse working at Hammerstein.
That's 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 another
More
one.
than one.
I talked about that this morning, and I was just I got so crazy to think about seeing guys like B-Boy on there, Ruckus on there, Homicide, Steve Scott. I was like, it warms my heart seeing that. Because again,
Grim
this is
Reaper.
something
Grim Reaper.
another one. That's it's insane to see seeing all that happen. And it's deserved though. It's a moment definitely deserved because a lot of these guys have put in that work and have earned a night like Sunday. Because Sunday is definitely going to be, again, no pun intended, but it's going to be a game changer for indie wrestling as a whole. Because a lot of this is all just blooming right now. So that's great to see. But I also have to talk about that. I don't think I've ever shared this on media. I think I told you the story when we first met of Bobby messaging me a few months before he passed.
Oh wow.
And till I started to get to know a lot more of the guys from that era and getting to speak with them, I didn't know how important something like that was. Because I had heard about the Doghouse, I had heard about what it was, but I never understood how him seeing and saying to me, there's something about you, kid, that you're going to make it.
Right.
You're going to make it in this business. And that was when we first spoke, I was like, hey, I don't know if you know this guy. And he had messaged me, but it was just, it had something about it. There was like, I didn't get it at first. Cause I was like, okay. Like I was still new. I had just started, but I already had that conversation about, this is how I thought about professional wrestling. And I guess someone told Bobby and he was sent my way. And this was a few months before his passing. And I told him, hey, thank you so much. Hopefully we can meet one day. Sadly, I never got to meet Bobby, but it always stood with me that he saw something. And it just kept me going like, okay, there's a reason I'm meeting who I'm meeting, and I'm
Right.
speaking with them. Like that's always been like it always sticks with me. So that's when you brought up Doghouse, I was like, oh yeah, I never talked about this. I have to talk about it now.
Right.
Like but that's insane. We got to keep going there because we have a lot more indies to talk about, and let's talk about Sunday because we have to first off before we go into the Sunday show. Happy birthday to Ron Starr.
Happy birthday, Ron Starr, and happy belated birthday to Adam Kane.
Yes, another my good brother there, Adam Kane as well. Happy birthday to both. Ron was just on this last week as well. We talked so much that again I have to have Unk back on because he definitely wants to keep going about everything going on. But let's
Mm-hmm.
talk about this Sunday show because it's going to be insane. Pro Wrestling Arts presenting Elevation, and I can't wait because the card is stacked. Because not
Yes.
only Ron's celebrating his birthday today, he's getting to enjoy. I saw earlier he's having a nice steak dinner. He's enjoying himself. But then Sunday, he's got not one, but two guys behind him. One in the vet in Black G's, and then the energy Daniel Alexander. When you see that, what are you thinking, Shannon? When you're seeing Ron, who again, he's no slouch in this game. He's been in this business for a good 2 decades. But you have a vet like Black G's, and then you have a young gun like Daniel Alexander basically coming at his throat because of that championship.
I am actually doing commentary for this show, and so that's an interesting role for me. Again, it's not something, and I said this on social media.
Yeah.
It's not something I do often, but I relish the opportunity to do it. For for those of you that don't know much about, you know, women in wrestling and roles and stuff, there are literally probably less than 10 women in the United States, I would say, that do commentary. Um, and so I take that very seriously. But I think for this particular match, it's going to be interesting because the initial match for the actual um, belt was Ron and G's. And I happen to have a front row seat for that because I was ring announcing then. And so adding um, a younger talent in to the to the mix, I think just throws Ron off even more. So you know I think Ron has a lot ahead of him. However, saying that, Ron is in the best shape of his life. And I think Ron has been performing at just an optimum level.
Yeah,
So I
Ron
think,
is still like I even saw him the other day, and at this state of the game, it's like he never stopped.
mm-hmm,
Like he's taking his short breaks, he's come back, and it's like he never left. Like he's just that like ready to go, and that's great to see. And whoa, okay, not to deflect from Ron's conversation, but we have a little bit of a breaking news because we've been talking about CZW a lot, and I wish I had the main logo, but I'm just going to show this for now and show this as well because just announced for those that have been waiting for this. This has been something spring
are you are
2022.
you able are you able to pull that up and press it or
I
no?
wish I could press the video, but it would copyright it if I showed
Okay,
the video for it.
okay.
Uh, the Ultraviolent Underground is coming to CZW in spring. That it's coming back. CZW it's been showcasing the newer talent, but that Ultraviolence is coming back. That's major. That's
Ultraviolet
major.
Underground is coming back. We have been working on this for quite some time. It is a project near and dear to my heart. I have personally been working on this project. I have personally been spearheading this project. So UVU is coming back. Um,
That
so
is
for those of you who have been asking me, begging me, cajoling me, um, for ultraviolence, for death, yes.
There you go, guys. That
Indeed.
to me is wow.
Yes,
That's
we are. So I will have further information, dates, talent, announcements, all of that in the coming days, weeks, and months ahead. But yes, yes,
that's
we
great.
are.
There you go, guys. That's
And
again,
I'm
that's
so
how
excited I can finally say that. Yeah.
I was waiting for that because I there have been the rumblings like CZW's been posting about just letters. I was like, oh, we're playing Hangman here. Okay,
Yep.
let's see. And it was like some people were trying to guess. It's like maybe something with violence. No one could
Hmm.
spell. This is the sad factor. Everyone's been dropped in their head too much. We can't spell, so no one could decipher the code. But seeing that, that's great to see it return. So again, there you go, guys. More to look forward to in this upcoming year. Again, indie wrestling, and now some violent wrestling is coming back.
So just to reiterate, if you have just tuned in, death and death matches are coming back to CZW this year. Um, excuse me.
Bless
Um,
you.
on the earlier part of this year, Q1. So again, I will have announcements as soon as I know it, you will know it. I am spearheading this project, so I will be on the forefront of this. Um, and again, if there are things you're interested in, if you have questions, if there's people you want to see, obviously I've been talking to people, I've reached out to people, but if there's stuff you wanna if there's stuff you wanna tell me, um, tweet me and
Definitely, guys. Again, we're gonna put up those socials right now once again, because again, you just saw why you're gonna want to be following Shannon because there's gonna be a lot to be seen. Like I can't wait to see where this goes, and hopefully, all I'm hoping for now is again just to throw one name out there, just because he's been on the show as well and will be coming back eventually. Is that guy Masada? Just eventually, because I know he's itching to get back into the combat zone. So we'll see. We'll see.
well, we love him, and you never know.
That's the best thing. I'm gonna steal a phrase from the SAT. Expect the unexpected, guys.
Yeah.
That's all we're gonna go with there. So back into again, not to stop the Ron talk, because again, it's his birthday. Let's go back into him and that three-way. So let's touch on that. With your mindset going into commentating this show on Sunday, with a stacked
Mhm.
card like that, how are you on top of the 20 million other things you're doing? How are you preparing for that?
So, I'm just working a lot with the talent and just making sure that I'm there early enough to really have a conversation with each and every person and to hold space for them and to give them time to let me know what they want me to convey for them, and to also just really pay attention to them and what's going on in the ring, and just to make sure that I'm giving them my very best. It's going to be a three-person booth. So, one of the huge things when you do have a three-person booth is that you don't want there to be a lot of confusion. You don't want to talk over each other. You want the roles to be defined. But one of my big influences in commentary is Mike Tenay. And I love that intense feeling of information being disseminated.
Yeah,
And so, not necessarily being boring, because I don't ever find that Mike Tenay was boring, but I love information being disseminated. I'm not
yeah.
somebody who's going to call play by play. I don't know every move that ever existed. That's just not who I am. However, I really love to add color in the sense of I know the talent better than anybody who's going to come and sit down in that booth. And I think that's sort of how I'm tackling this job.
Okay. And that does add a huge element to it because I feel like you need to be able to have that knowledge and have that it adds another flair to it. It adds something that's like, okay, now we know things that make this match even more important. Because when I've done the commentary, commentary gig, I love telling the art of the moves because again,
Mhm.
I've studied that part of it. Like I love being able to say, okay, so it's this variation of that or this or that. But being able to know them and get to have that little bit of like, oh, this about this person and that about it just adds that that's like, okay, this is more important now because now I
Yeah.
know this. So it's definitely going to be a big part going into that. So I can't wait. So speaking of that, because let's talk about this match because these are two guys you definitely know very well because you
Well, I
just talked
traveled
about.
with both of them.
So this is going to be interesting because I can imagine it's going to be tough calling the rematch here
Mhm.
between infamous Adam Kane and the American Gangster, prolific member himself, Isaiah Wolf. How are you looking at this one? Because I'm looking forward to this match right here.
Isaiah and Adam are really evenly matched in a lot of ways, even though it may not appear that way. And that's what makes this match so interesting. And I think it's one of the marquee matches I know for Ron. And also, they're always excited to get in the ring with each other, and the fans always find this match exciting. So I think that's why I'm excited to call the match. I'm always excited to watch it. And they really love getting in the ring with each other. So I think that all those elements put together make it special.
Yeah, and that's what you kind of want. You want to have everyone involved have that passion for it because that's what makes it even better. Having that passion to make something into just something even bigger. So that's great to see. And again, this feud it's been growing. Like I've seen the promos they're putting out. I've seen the little segments they've done, and I talked about it with Ron as well. And he's really looking forward into this and seeing what it blossoms into because he says it's definitely not ending here. This is
No.
something that it can continue to grow, and I'm looking forward to see where it does end up. So that's gonna be fun. Another one to talk about because this one Ron put over like crazy because it's Devontae's and Tony Batista going at it, and all I can keep saying is the beast that Devontae's is. Like
You know,
this is
I had not worked with Devontae a lot before
yeah
this project, but um I really have grown to love his work, and I love watching him in the ring. Um and he's just so exciting to watch, especially
yeah.
up close. I think Devontae is one of those wrestlers that he's he's somebody you kind of have to see in person. Not that he's not exciting to watch on IWTV or whatever, but I really do recommend if he's come to a town near you, buy a ticket. See Devontae in person. He's worth the price of admission. I love Tony Batista. He's somebody who's really cool to work with, but man, Devontae's is hard to beat.
It's definitely, and I have to agree with you on that. You're gonna want to go see it because I got to see him this past weekend, and it's still seeing how smooth he is in that ring for his size. It's freak of nature. Like he was
He's
throwing
so
around.
exciting.
I felt bad because he was throwing around Unc Julius Smokes, and I was like, he's gonna kill Unc
Yeah.
because he was like nothing. He's ragdolling him, and I'm like, ah. And then I remember this match. I'm like, and I get it. Tony Batista is no slouch either. He's a great athlete, and he's great. He's done great for the service as well. I salute him for that. But when you're going in with a hoss like Devontae's, it's it's gonna be a hard one to pick. This is gonna be interesting to see what happens on Sunday. So definitely come out for that, guys, because you're gonna want to see a hoss fight. So, but next one up, the promo for this.
Okay,
I
so I am so obsessed with both of these people, and I there is no way for me to choose a winner here. Okay, so one of the things I love about Boom
yeah.
is his work ethic.
Yep.
Nobody works harder than Boom, both in the ring and out of the ring. And he's just one of the very special people that I've gotten to know recently over the past year or so. So, I think Boom has improved, and anybody that has worked with Boom will tell you this. Boom has improved over the past year, 2 years,
Yeah.
exponentially, to get where he's getting in the business right now. There is something so special about Jermaine. So let me tell you a story about Jermaine. I came to Super Crazy to just visit and meet people and, scout. And Jermaine was sitting in the locker room eating a donut. And he had already wrestled or whatever because I got there late. And I walked up to him and I said, "This is a weird question, but are you a wrestler?" And he said, "Yes." Because he had changed out of his gear and stuff
Okay.
because like I was there late.
Yeah.
And he was just sitting there eating a donut. And I said, "You just have such a unique magnetic look about you." So I friended him on social media, and then Ron started booking him for stuff. And I said, "I cannot even begin to tell you how much I love this guy. Like, he's so magnetic. He's such a great wrestler. Like, I even said to DJ, and DJ agreed with me. Like, there's just something about this kid. He's like if Basquiat were a wrestler. Like,
Ooh.
he's
Okay.
he's he's just such an artist. And again, he's almost somebody you have to experience in person, but he's just so unique. And um and I love Jermaine. I think Jermaine is all upside, and I can't wait to see the magic that he and Boom are gonna make, because
Yeah.
I love this match. It's two guys that people really haven't seen yet. So this is a match that I want people that haven't experienced our product really to see and see what we are producing. I feel like it's so representative of what Ron and I are trying to do with this project.
Gotcha. And this is definitely it's you could see it. Like again, just that Boom promo, and I've gotten to see Boom again, that growth of what he's gone through, and just how he was conveying his message. It shows like there's a fire there. And I saw the response Jermaine gave as well, and it's like, okay, once they touch, it's just gonna be. I feel like it's gonna click. Like that's gonna be the full combination of just everything. Because it's one thing to be vocal about it, but once it actually happens, it's like, okay, this is the magic here. Like I can't wait to see that. That's gonna be fun. So let's keep it going here because there's a little more to go as we have a tag team matchup here with the Throne taking on the Bonnet Club. I wasn't as familiar, sadly, with the Bonnet Club when Ron got on the show, but I was able to learn a little bit about them, and I'm very intrigued now going into this on Sunday.
So Inhodible,
Yeah,
that's how you pronounce it. Inhodible and his partner are two of the most charismatic people I've ever worked with. And that covers a lot of ground. Um, and what's fun about working with people like them is they can get over in any situation that you put them in. And I think this match is just going to be super fun. And when we put this graphic up, people just responded to them immediately
yeah,
and said, "Who are these guys? What are these guys? Where did they come from?" And
yeah.
I
Because that
think
was
that
my response too when I saw it. I was like, okay, so this looks different. I want to see more. I want to see what is this about here.
that's really cool for a newer product like ours, because sometimes people just scroll past it and they're like, "I don't know what this company is. It's new. I'm not necessarily invested." But people stopped on this match and said, "What is that?" And so that's a huge benefit to us. So and tag team wrestling is cool because tag teams, especially people that are teaming regularly, you know, you don't get a lot of that. So
Yeah.
I think I'm excited to see them both really show us what they have, you know?
Yeah, and that's what you want. You want to be able to see something that, with tag team wrestling, I always say it's an art that a lot do respect, but don't. It doesn't get that longevity anymore. And seeing this flourish again, it's great to see. So I'm definitely looking forward to that. And one last matchup here that from our last podcast was a little changed up, unfortunately, due to COVID and everything like that. We have Samil Fozzy and GKM, the Phoenix here. Thoughts on
So
this one?
Semi Alfazi just won the Super Crazy World title.
Hmm.
So I really love this young wrestler. I
Okay.
just have um there's a lot of excitement around him right now, especially in the area that we are running the show in. I'm not as familiar with the other guy again because he's subbing in.
Yeah.
So but I do love Fozzy and I'm excited to see his trajectory because I think that it's only up from here for
Yeah.
him. And I really like him. You know, when you meet somebody and you're just like, I just like you as a person and I want to see you grow and I want to see how who you grow up to be. And that's how I feel about him. Um and I was excited to see that he won that belt. You know, like when you meet people and you're like, I'm just excited for you. You know? And that's how I feel about him.
I feel like I'm in good company now because that's what you told me when we met. So I'm like, okay, so it's a good sign.
Yeah,
That's a good sign there.
great
And
kid.
it and hey, what's up, Smiley? We have Smiley in the chat. That's for Pro Wrestling R. That's a project that Shannon works on, also with Unk, a veteran of the game, Ron Starr. Definitely, I've shared a lot about it. Smiley, I'll definitely send you some more stuff about it later because you're gonna definitely want to watch a lot of this. It's great stuff. I support the product there. So, and now it is time to talk about. We mentioned at the beginning. It's time to talk about the combat zone. We got to talk about what's coming up because in less than 3 weeks now, we're starting to get closer to shows again, and it's crazy to think about. Limelight 2 is coming up.
So this
Uh,
is in Maryland.
yeah.
So for CZW, right now we have two buildings that we're running in. We have the Jersey building, which is the studio in Blackwood, and we have the Maryland building, which is a theater actually.
Ooh.
I'm
Okay.
I'm sure people have seen pictures of it on my social media if they follow me. Um, you've seen pictures of it.
Yeah, yeah. I've seen. That was where also the one of the pandemic shows happened. Correct. That first main show that happened. I want to say like a month or two in.
No, we just ran there a couple weeks ago.
Okay.
Yeah, the first pandemic show happened. The first pandemic shows happened in a studio.
Okay. Gotcha.
So this is a little bit of a bigger building, and this is the building that Grim broke the ring.
Okay. Ah.
And he tagged me in the video and like it went viral and like I'm getting like ding 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 for 2 days. Not that I minded. However, it was really funny. The reason why he tagged me was I was the one that had to deal with all that because I was standing there and like I had to run back and like figure out how to fix the ring and then gather everybody and get the ring fixed. So he thought that was really funny.
That's kind of funny because we're talking about Mr. Grimm, right? Him
Yes.
breaking the ring.
Uh-huh.
That's kind of funny because I guess we can announce it here too because it was just posted while the podcast was happening. He'll be there, so
He sure will be.
hopefully he doesn't break the ring again.
I hope not. But at least I know how to fix it now.
There you go. But that's great. So again, That's
So
that's cool though.
Limelight 2 is in Maryland. Grim will be in action. Prolific will be in action. I think those are the announcements that have been made so far.
So far as that, we also have two match announcements, so we can talk about
Can
hopefully
we buzz
again.
those? Yes, thank you.
Yeah. So fingers crossed about this one because it tried to happen at Limelight One. Hopefully now everything can happen
Well,
with
Richie was sick.
yeah.
So he wasn't able to make it, but as far as we know, everything is fine. So he should be able to come
Yeah.
and wrestle Griffin on this
That's gonna
show,
be good. That's
and
gonna be
that's going
good.
to be amazing. And Griffin has been on a tear lately, and Deshaun and Boom are teaming against Mike and a mystery partner. And I want to say,
Sorry about that.
about Mike.
Yeah.
Mike has really distinguished himself lately, so I think this is going to be a huge breakout match for him. So I want everybody to keep their eyes on Mike Walker. And if you have CZW Studios, check out a little bit of the stuff that Mike has been doing the past couple of shows, because I think Mike Walker is going to break out in a huge way in the next year, because he has really distinguished himself the past couple of shows, and I think this match is going to be the turning point for him.
Ooh.
And Deshaun is coming back from an injury. This is going to be his first match back, and he has been mentoring Boom in a huge way. So, this is their first opportunity to really get in the ring together. So I think this is going to be a really interesting match as well. But there's going to be a lot of great matches on this Maryland show. So it's going to be can't miss, especially if you're in the area. You don't want to miss it.
Definitely, guys. Again, you're gonna want to follow Shannon just to make sure you're not missing anything. Also, links for CZW's social media will be down below as well because you're not gonna want to miss all of that great talent announcements. Because I can't wait to see who else is coming on. I'm hoping for a Jourdain announcement because he's been killing it. That Jourdain
Yes,
450 has been
we should have a Jourdain announcement, I hope.
yeah.
And he's been killing it. If you love 450s, you will love Paul Jourdain.
The fact that Paul Jourdain is hitting a 450 is still it's crazy to me. Like I've seen what Paul Jourdain could do when he manhandles people, and now you're adding a 450. Also,
Pretty
I'm just
exciting.
gonna say, like, I know they both are trying to make their own waves, but the tag team has to happen eventually of him and Aaron. I just want to see
Of
those
him
two
and Aaron,
monsters
yeah.
just killing
Are you
everybody.
loving Aaron?
Aaron's been someone I've gotten to follow. He's also someone that's been under the tutelage of another Theo and Monster Mac. Like he's he's got it. Like that's another
We
like
are talking about Aaron Ash.
yep. Like he's good. Like, he's good. So I guess we'll have to wait and see. Again, guys, stay tuned for all that because there's a lot of great athletes coming out of there. Y'all young guns that are coming up in the ranks as well. So definitely stay tuned to all of that. Also, let's talk about a little bit of what this means on the 27th. 23 years of this. Like
23
this.
years. I mean, this is so special. And, it's mind blowing. Um, it's breathtaking. It's emotional. Um, I think, I had the good fortune to work a couple of times. I worked at Jersey All Pro, and back in the day, there was sort of a push pull between John and Frank. So if you were a Jersey All Pro person, you wouldn't necessarily, especially if you were support staff, you wouldn't necessarily have always worked for CZW. But I did have the good fortune to sometimes work a champs with John. And, I had the honor to get to do that on occasion. And 23 years is not a milestone that a lot of companies get to make. Obviously
Yeah.
JP, didn't have the good fortune. And, just to be standing in any building under that banner, um, you know, is kind of mind blowing. Um, so, I know that the talent that we have now, um, loves CZW, and there's a whole new generation of people that are ready to bleed yellow and black. and I think we can't underestimate them.
Yeah.
And I think that's what I want to say. That's the overarching thing I want people to understand. I know you all want death matches, and I want death matches too. I love death matches. And I am
It's
so
coming back,
prepared.
guys. Eventually, it's coming back.
I am so prepared to give you that.
Yeah.
However, there are a lot of young people and a lot of people that, work for CZW that are ready to bleed black and yellow. And I want you to give them the opportunity to show you what they can do. Um, they want to perform for you. And, you know, they have the ability to be just as great as the people you loved in the past. So that's what I would like to say going into year 23 is CZW has the ability and the potential to be just as great as everything they loved about CZW in the past. Um, all people have to do is give us their time, their attention, their affection, um, and um, and we will be worth it for them. I promise. I know
I,
we will.
it definitely ties into the first few comments you were saying. Be patient, guys, because a
Hmm.
lot of great things are coming. And I've gotten to see a lot of the young locker room. I've gotten to talk to a lot of the guys there now, and it's a hungry locker room. Like this ties in, and this is going to be. It definitely is a new era that's it has that respect for what CZW was and what will become. Like this is
It's a
that
renaissance of tradition.
it really is. It's not just it's funny because I've gone to speak with DJ about that, and it's not a tagline. It's something that truly it's become something else. It's transcended just oh this is the moniker. No, this is truly is that in itself, and that's beautiful to see. Because again, it's like oh it's catchy. Let's just put it's no. This is legit when you see the talent and how hungry they are and how willing they are to bleed that black and yellow. It's going to be great to see in the coming weeks and coming months how this will transform. And I can't wait to see it. So
And we're so
that's
proud of everybody. And we have worked very hard to curate this locker room, and we will continue to curate all aspects of the locker room.
yep.
And, you know, we just want to make it great, and we want to earn your loyalty and your dollars. And so that's what we're working hard to do.
Yep. So there you go, guys. Again, those three shows, the future for CZW as well. You're gonna want to keep up to date with all that because we've told you a lot, and there's so much more that I know Shannon has up her sleeve as well. So you're gonna want to go follow that because we can't give you all the secrets now. Sadly, we
Nope.
can't give you everything. We can't give you everything because then you won't come back. You have to come back. Like I have right now in the back of my head, I have a few names that I know I'm going to be talking to next week, but I can't tell you that because you're not going to come. So till then, all I'm going to say is this: one of those guys on that CZW card is coming next week. That's all I'm going to say. That's all I'm saying. So you're going to want to tune in for that. You want to keep up to date with what Shannon's doing, keep up to date with what the podcast is doing, and again, support independent wrestling and just continue to enjoy this great business and this great craft. Shannon, thank you so much again for coming on. This has been great. It's been a pleasure to talk to you. I have one final question though before we go, and that is, what's your end goal?
Oh gosh, my end goal is to do things no woman has ever accomplished in wrestling. That's my end goal. I want to accomplish things that no other woman has ever accomplished, and to inspire other women to, not other women necessarily, but other people to go, I really wanted to do that, so maybe I'll give it a try. Because like I don't necessarily see myself as somebody who should just be inspiring other women. I think
Yep.
I just want to inspire other people to just say, I really wanted to do that, so I think I'll give it a try.
Awesome. There you go, guys. I love that. Again, that's another one of those. That's why I keep those two questions in. Like, no matter what we talk about, I keep that in because those answers are always inspiring. And I hope someone watching is learning from this and saying, you know what, that's great. Now I want to continue and be motivated to do what I want to do. So that's great. Thank you again, Shannon, for coming
I
on. Like
love
I
you,
said,
Ray.
guys, love you too. Thank you so much for coming on. As always, guys, don't forget to be wise, be genuine, be real, be better people, and respect the craft. We'll be talking very soon. Till the next one. Peace. And don't forget to follow Shannon, follow CZW, follow Pro Wrestling Magic, Pro Wrestling R, and all the great companies out there. Till the next one. See you guys. Peace.